So thank you. Welcome to the Business Boost Blueprint Workshop. And today you're going to leave with a blueprint with at least one action step for those that don't get the live interaction that you can start using, that within 30 days, you'll be able to increase your revenue by 30+% and your profits by 50+%. And we're going to have 3 examples today so that you can see in real time with real people's numbers how this works. I'm really excited to share this with you, and let's just get started. And so bear with me a second. There's one thing that I know I'll have to do when we get to it, which is pull up the calculator. But for now, let me just pull this up. Share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, thank you. So let me just boost that up. So we're going to reveal how to grow your revenue, profit, and which allows you to grow your business. And most of us, even if you don't have a really big dream to grow a huge business, we have to grow. We have to grow just to free up time, even if it's not for time off, which most of us would prefer for sure. But it's time to really create. It's time to manage and time to work on the business. It's a mandatory thing for any business, unless you create a job and you like that, which most of us create a job and then we realize we did and say, oh, I need to change this. So we're going to cover 6 areas, and there's 5 main topics. And this is the same strategy that a CFO for a big corporation or a smaller company would utilize to help a business grow revenue so that they can afford the business, they can afford growth, and that each transaction is profitable. And so we're covering leads, lead conversion, transactions per customer, like how many transactions you have with a client, whether it's per month or per year. That's going to be depending on your business. We're going to cover the revenue that you charge, what you charge for each sale, the profit margin or profit percentage that you charge. So I'll talk about margin and percentage a little bit. Some people use a margin and they think that it's their profit, and it's just doubling the cost of what you buy or whatever it is. This is real-time value. I do have to change something because Zoom does this crazy thing which puts these things in my way. So thank you. So this is real-time value when you can see your own possibility. And that's why I'm going to take 3 people through it live. To grow up to 65% in profitability and set these things in place within the next 30 days. When you see the tweaks that you have to make and how small that they are, it becomes a real eye-opener and a real possibility. And that's what the whole intention of this workshop is to open up your eyes to this, but also to see how possible it is for you. You're going to learn a few takeaways. And what I mean by that is you're going to learn a few strategies that you can implement immediately, starting today or tomorrow, is that soon, to start increasing your revenue, start increasing your profit. And one of the most important things for us in business is knowing our numbers. We have to know our numbers in pricing so that we cover all expenses, we get paid, and we add profit to the business. We have to know our numbers in how many outreaches it takes to create one lead, how many leads to create a conversation, how many conversations to create a sale. So numbers are super important in our business. And so by not understanding how easy growth is when you have a blueprint and a plan, we stay stagnant, we hold back, and we hesitate. So what I'm doing today is like taking the blinders off of that one. Before we get any further, I want to set an intention that everybody leaves this event today with at least one action step in each category that you can start taking, or one action step in the top 3 categories, which is lead generation, and lead conversion. So that each one of you takes something away from this program and know that you have the capability to grow your revenue and grow your profitability. So knowing these numbers and how impacting it is with a minor adjustment of 10%, is a leadership and mindset boost. It's going to boost your confidence and your belief that you have a business that is actually going to fulfill the dream or the thought that you have in generating enough revenue to not only pay for life itself, but to also allow you to have those things that you desire, whether it's more material things, whether it's time off, time with family, maybe creating a team so you work less, or having that lifestyle that you choose to. When you know you can do it, 50% of the complicated is over. When you know and believe that you can increase your revenue and your profit, 50% of our problems are gone, because it eliminates the I'm not sure if I can. So it makes hiring out services that can replace you, but that help you grow easier. And it's really not how many more, but how we can refine the numbers to benefit our growth in business. And what I mean by that, it's not about I have to double my prices or I have to double the amount of clients that I work with. These adjustments will allow you at times to work with the same amount of people, but increase revenue and increase profitability, which open up a lot of things for you to be able to grow your business as well. Hang on, there's somebody coming in. Hello, Melinda, and welcome. So moving on, the 10 ways to increase your 10%. So we talked about them in the beginning, the 5 main strategies. And Melinda, if you could mute out, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
And so leads is the first thing that we're going to focus on. And I'll be taking one person in here shortly. Debbie, I'm going to ask you first to show up, and then we'll go through your numbers. But leads is one area that we first start with. So I want you to think about, like, how many leads do you generate a month? If you're not sure, do your best guesstimate today. But this is a number that you should know unconsciously, because these are numbers. This is how you forecast your growth, forecast your business, and forecast your success for the future and getting to the lifestyle that you desire as well. But leads, so choose one outreach method that you use now and increase that number of outreach per day or per week than you currently do by just 10%. I'm going to go through this with you, but I'm just going to give you a quick visual mentally. If you get 10 leads per month, a 10% increase is 1. Could you work for 1 month to get 11 leads instead of 10 using the same strategy that you use? It may mean 1 extra call a day, 1 extra call a week, 1 extra call a month. It may mean asking for a referral, which we'll get to because most of us don't. Improve the clarity or firmness in how you ask. That's a possibility that you could do. How you ask for a sale or how you ask to get an appointment. Lastly, make sure that you're connecting with more of your ideal clients or referral patrons. And what I mean by that is there's many of us, and we all got together because of social media here. And many of us are active, but also many of us may not have en masse our ideal clients as our connections. So make sure as you're connecting that you have a methodical plan, a strategy, that you're connecting with the right people that potentially, if you network properly, can lead to a lead or lead to a client. Could you ask your current clients 10% more often for a referral? If you're like the average business, they ask, and I was very generous with this, 5 times a month. Just acknowledge to yourself, when's the last time you asked someone for a referral? I can tell you the last time I asked for a referral was on Monday. And so because I know the impact of it, I also know the impact of not asking. So could you convert leads to conversations with just a 10% adjustment, 10% more? Like the strategy that you're using now, I would encourage you to think about it and say, how could I make a 10% improvement to get 1 more lead if it's 10 per month? Could you get firm in asking for the sale? If your conversion rate is 1 out of 5, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 10, whatever it is, could you do something differently that would just give you 10% more opportunity for one person to say yes? Could you create a referral program and send it to 10% of your clients via email once a week. If you did just that one strategy, I promise you your revenue and your profitability without you even increasing it would improve dramatically. Because the average business, I put up there 5 times a month. I think it's 5 times a year. It was a typo. So by increasing the cost of service by 10%, like when's the last time you raised your prices? For most small business owners, even through COVID and this dramatic inflation, people haven't raised their prices at all. For those of you that have, congratulations. You're in the probably top 5% of all small business owners. And small business owners for me are 50 employees or less that have raised their prices by 10% or more since 2019, before COVID. Could you find a new thing that you can sell to your clients, a new service, some affiliate marketing that you have, some programs or services that you use that you know that would help them? Or could you maybe collaborate with somebody else to join forces, get exposed to more people, and in that would improve your sales dramatically and your lead generation by 10%. And if you could just do one collaboration every 3 months, your business would dramatically grow, and so would your sphere of influence, the people that you're connected to that know who you are. And so collaborations right now are really beneficial. A lot of people are open to them. And think about even people that do the same thing. There's enough business to go around for everybody. It's not that difficult to create a collaboration. We just have to be willing to entertain it and then go for it and be willing to stumble and fumble along the way, because we will get better each time we do something. Again, could you refer to those who you know, like, and trust that have referral or affiliate payouts? It's not uncommon for me, and Debbie knows somebody that I've worked with and it's worked with me, that we refer business to each other regularly. And that business generates into thousands of dollars in the end. So having a good referral program or an affiliate program for products, services, or somebody else's services is a really good strategy because it helps your clients. One of my clients on here, Melinda, I'll have her shout out, but I've referred her to many different services that help her. And I can promise you it doesn't hurt your business, it helps it. So could you raise your profit margin by 10%? Most of you think, we'll say, not think, we'll say you have a profit margin. And then when I ask, it's not a specific number. What I encourage you to do is get a specific percentage that you make profit on with every single sale, because then you know you are profitable. When all expenses are covered, when you're paying yourself, when you add profit, and that money goes into the bank account of your business, not yours, then you're a profitable business. So not raising your prices, but raising your profit margin. So most entrepreneurs are running scattered without knowing if they have a profit margin, or running at 10% usually is what I find. Some say they have 100% profit, and really what they've done is double the price of what they paid for, or what they're spending. But that doesn't mean that's profit, because you haven't been paid yet. You haven't paid taxes yet. And so what's left at the end after everything and everyone's been paid is your profit. And if you're not sure what that is, I strongly urge you to get that together quickly, and I can help you with that. Reformulate your pricing. If you don't have a pricing formula, which is a strategy that you use to figure out exactly what you have to charge for every single thing that you offer, you need one. Companies that run off of formulaic pricing not only get paid better and paid more often, but they cover all expenses on every single transaction. They're able to forecast and grow without ever being concerned if they can afford it or not, because they know it. When they're looking to grow, they can forecast their growth and start charging that amount months before the growth starts. And 50% of the problem of growth is, can I afford to grow? When you eliminate that, you eliminate 50% of the problem of growth, and it becomes much easier for you to position yourself the exact way that you feel best for your company, whether it's doing a bunch of stuff or whether it's just managing and having your team do it. So growth is formulated. When it's sustained, you get more income, you get more profit, and you get more time off. And that time off, again, can be time off while you're still getting paid. It could also be time off to be creative and to work on programs and to improve and to get better. I'm going to stop this for a second and see if there's any questions yet. If anyone has a question yet, please unmute. It's just good to see your faces. I'm looking at the screen. I can't see anybody, so it's like, hey, good to see your faces here. Coach Rob, you're looking a little dark today. So just letting you know. I know he's driving though. Anyone have a question? No? Okay, let's keep going. So we're getting close. It's time to delve in. And so I'm going to pull up the calculator that I created. Now this calculator took me, I'm a slow mover, but it took me about 10 years to get it perfected. I'm really good at numbers, but I didn't realize that everybody isn't for a long period of time. So I would go through these numbers with people and go, oh, here it is. And people would just get deer in the headlights look, like, Jacob, this sounds great and I get it, but I don't understand it. And so after hundreds of hours, I've spent a few $1,000 minimum to get this together. I'm really happy to present this to you. So I'm going to stop this share for a second and pull up the calculator. And then Debbie, I'm going to ask you to come on. Here it is. All right. Share my screen. Okay, Debbie, can you come on?
I'm here and I didn't fill out the worksheet. So I told you I might not get to it. So I didn't.
That's okay. And we're
But
gonna
we'll pretend.
well, we'll do our best guesstimating, which is what we do as business owners anyway.
Exactly.
And so before we start though, because I'm just so impressed with the work that you do, not because I've read about it, but because someone that you work with and someone that's near and dear to my heart, and also Melinda on the call, I referred to Irit, and she's working with her as well. But can you just share what you do? Because I just think that it's magical, and many of us could use it, even though they may not be your ideal client.
When I work with my clients, I look at their business and at their signature offer, like the main thing that they're offering. And I do a lot of helping my clients raise their prices. Like one of my clients just raised her price from $250 to $300 an hour. Like if you think about that, that's a huge percentage increase. And she's just signed her first client, right? We just did this on our call last week, and she had a yes, then a no, which I just said that's growth. To get even a yes and then a no is also growth, because we're moving the needle. But when you increase your income by 20%, like that's just exactly what you're talking about, is your hourly rate just goes. And so I really help my clients unwind their money mindset blocks. And a lot of times we have like healing around money that we need to do because of money messages, because of financial traumas. So we really go into that. And I work on specifically sales conversations, less on leads, because we can look at vanity metrics, we can look at all of your leads, but if you're not converting them into sales, then you can be having sales conversations, you can have your calendar full, but you have your conversion rate there, right? If so just inching up your conversion rate. So I have a very specific sales conversation guidebook that I walk my clients through, and we coach very, very specifically on that.
Thank you for sharing that. Sorry to interrupt you there. One of the most impressive things for me that Debbie does is really gets to the core of our value and our worth. And once we can break through that, it's almost like the dam bursting, when you combine it with the strategies and the technical systems or whatever that we have to put in application in our business, it's just it's amazing the results that you can get. So excuse me one quick. So let's get going.
Okay,
So
and I'm just going to be very transparent. Like my business pivoted when I worked with Elite last year. My business was a one-on-one coaching business. Now I'm scaling my business, which is really a whole different animal. I'm actually selling a lower priced offer, which is harder for me to sell than a higher priced offer. So this is also something that it's a whole new learning area for me. So my numbers are down this year. They're down because of the economy. They're down because I'm learning how to sell a new offer. So I'm just letting you know what's going on.
it's all good. Because all of us here, we're at all different levels. There's
Yeah.
some near the top, there's some just starting out. And so just in an average month, how many leads do you generate? Average.
I mean, I know that on the books in the next week I'm on holiday, but I have 7 leads on my calendar in the 2 weeks after, or 1-2 weeks after my holiday.
Okay.
So
would
let's
it be,
call it, I don't think 14 leads is normal. For me, we
would
can
10
call it
be
10.
okay?
10 would be okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start with 10. I'd rather be a little bit conservative because it's easier for the mind to accept it than it is to go higher.
100%.
Out of those 10, how many on average do you convert? And go by your past history, even though it may not be accurate today, but you'll get back to that place, I promise you.
Yeah. Like last year in the beginning of the year when I was still doing one-on-one, I had like an 80% conversion rate.
That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
so
It's like
what would you say today
people,
would be a good response
no,
for you?
today
50, 30, 40?
50-ish.
Okay,
Like we
so
can call it 40. Let's call it 40. Let's call it 40.
let's say 40 just to be safe. So that's 40%.
Okay.
Okay. Which means out of every 10, you're going to average about 4 clients.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many transactions do they do with you either in a month or their lifetime? Just 1, maybe 2,
So
sometimes
what
3.
I'm converting them into now is a lifetime program.
Okay, so
Some
they
of
sign up yearly, quarterly, like when would they
No,
sign up?
it's a lifetime access program. That's why I'm learning how to
Okay.
sell this new animal. There will be a higher ticket offer once I fill this group, which will be a mastermind. But for
Okay.
now, let's just call it. Some of them have upgraded to a VIP where they get private one-on-one coaching in addition to the group. So
You want to say 1 for today
yeah,
or
yeah.
1.5, whatever you feel comfortable with.
If you can put decimals in there, put 1.5. Yeah. Okay.
So out of every time, there's about 1.5 transactions, which means about every other person's going to sign up for the VIP. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's good
And then
guess.
what's your average, and you can round this off if you're not comfortable sharing it. What's your average transaction price?
$6,000.
And then on profit, do you have a set profit percentage that you charge?
Nope.
Okay. So for today's sake, I'm going to say 10%, just because that's a pretty low.
I mean, I know what my numbers, my profit last year was 14%. But I
Okay.
haven't used a formula to figure out how profitable each, client. I think that's like an interesting concept to me.
You came to the right place. One thing I can tell you is that, and this is for everybody, when you charge a specific amount of profit, which is the way corporations work,
Mm-hmm.
let's say it's 20%. If they
Okay.
sell a paperclip, there's a 20% profit added
Mm-hmm.
to that paperclip. And what it does is it allows you to forecast your growth easier. And it also allows you to increase where you have to so that you can pay for your growth before it ever shows up. But also the most important thing is exactly through each sale how much is going into the business bank account, not out of your pocket. So with 10% profit margin, that means your average sale, 1 out of 5 or 1.5 transactions, $6,000 average. The revenue would be 36,000 with 4 clients. So far, so good.
Yep.
10% profit would mean 3,600. Here's the magic, you guys. This is where compound interest or compounding takes effect. So could you see what's one thing you could do that could potentially get you 11 clients a month, not 10? What's just one strategy you could do that would be easy for you?
I've never used a referral strategy, so I can definitely go back to my past clients and ask for referrals.
Here's what I would do. I do it
Okay.
really simply. I would just write a short email or have a conversation and say, you know, I've never asked for this, but I'm looking for my next 2 mastermind clients. Who
Yep.
do you know that's experiencing this, that's looking for this?
Mhm.
So touch on the pain, looking for that. If you have their name and information, I'd love to reach out to them and offer them an introduction to it. If you just ask it that way, who do you know? The key is who's one person or who are 2 people that you know that are
Okay.
experiencing this and would like this benefit.
Okay.
That's a way that you can get referrals back. And so if you just did that to 2 people a week in a month, that's 8 people. You're probably going to increase more than 10% on lead generation.
Okay.
So from 10, you go to 11. And
Mhm.
so from conversion rate, 10% increase is 44%, not 40, which just means that less than half of the people that you talk to have to come on board. But for every 10 people that you ask, 4 more additional conversions happen. Or 4%, not 4 more, but 4%. So what's one thing that you know you could probably do a little bit better, maybe firmer, or is it in follow-up that you could do that might help you convert instead of 40%, 44%?
Well, the strategy that I always follow is really going through my sales conversations and tweaking my sales conversations, like getting more specific about my clients and what's holding them back, what's stopping them from saying yes. So that is where I put my focus. The other thing would be more specific messaging around my ideal clients
Okay.
when
Is it,
I'm on social media or even in my emails.
yeah, I would say, is there one thing just in social media that you might do 1 post a week that focuses more on that would help you convert?
Tell me again, when you say what focus on that, what is that?
So you were saying that in social media, at times you share information. Could you share information that's more direct at the benefit that you offer or the program that you're in, that you're running? Sorry, not that you're in.
I mean, I certainly did that today and I did it last week. But I can get more specific on that for sure.
If you just did that, I think once a week, and you just got a little bit firmer in the ask at the bottom when you say, hey, you know, and one way to do it is you could just say, I'm looking for this. This is what I'm like. Asking directly with what we're seeking is a really good strategy. The other one is just saying, hey, if this program sounds good for you, and I know that you kind of go there anyway, but I would put, I'm looking for a specific number. What I've learned over time. Go
Tell me
ahead.
again. I'm looking. Can you just like be more specific
Sure.
about what you're saying? Like I'm looking for like
So let
5 women.
how big's your mastermind group?
At the moment, I have 12.
Okay, what do you want to max it to?
I want to go to 100 in the next year.
Okay, so 12, I might say, hey, we have 12 people in our mastermind group. I'm looking to get it to 15 by October 30th.
Okay.
I'm looking to fill 3 more spots. You know, there's a link down below that you can set up an introduction to see if you qualify or whatever it is that you say that you do. But I would
Okay.
start there and I would work in increments. So once I get to 15, I'd say, hey, I'm looking to build it to 20 by the end of November or by Thanksgiving. And so
Okay.
I'm looking for, you know, if you know anybody that's experiencing this, that's looking for this result, here's a link here where you can set up a introduction call or whatever it is that you call it. That's getting more specific, but when you give people a limited amount versus saying, I'm going to fill it to 100, they'll say, oh, we have time. You only have 12. But if I say, hey, I'm going from 12 to 15, that makes a big difference.
I like that. Okay.
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 So once you convert that, so one extra lead per month, 4% increase in your conversion rate goes from 4 clients to 4.84, and almost 25% or a 20% increase basically in your clients. Now, if your transaction amount goes from 1.5 to 1.65, which means one person that you know is on the fence that says, I need to think about it. And you say, look, this is part of the block that I'll untangle, Jacob. you not thinking so long, and I would just say, hey, think back to a time when you've thought about it and you missed an opportunity that you wish you would have taken years ago. That's what I'm trying to help you with today. And if you say yes today, here's what you're going to get. So that's just a matter of like tweaking our conversation a little bit to those people that we know are borderline, and sometimes we let them go. Right? Just remember, and I'll share this, I think, in a slide, but 95% of all the leads that we talk to, we don't talk to again. 95%.
Right.
So get me while you have me. And if you have to be a little bit firmer in the ask, do so. You're not going to offend me because you're really there from a place of passion and helping, right?
Oh, I mean, I totally agree with you on that. And I actually did that with someone today. I was like, no, maybe I'll just get an accountability buddy. And I'm like, why do you think that's going to work?
Well, and for those that don't know Debbie yet, she had a video out, I think it was last week, that showed you kind of explaining your things. And it's like you definitely will call it out when it's appropriate, and you do it professionally, but I appreciate and respect you for that, because not everybody's willing to go there.
Right.
So if you're average,
I don't also, sometimes I also hesitate. Look, I'm also normal, but my belief is, my belief is that most people that get on the line, they want to be a yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a little sticky note on my monitor that says they want to say yes, and they will. It's right here.
I love it. Yeah, that's why I set the intention for this workshop in the beginning. It's like we set that out there and we put it out. If we don't ask, we don't get. And
But
so
Jacob, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because when you're thinking about your profit margin, right, from a group perspective, like you've created this class, it's a $97 class, right? Like I forget what you said, like there's a per client, but when you're doing a leveraged offer, right, it's one to many. And so every person that you add to your group, I mean, you've capped yours at how many people, but like my program is going to be a lifetime program, and my goal is to really grow it to 1,000. I don't want to stop at 100, but I really do have long-term goals. I mean, I will have other expenses because then I'll have to create a mentorship program, have people working under me. That's going to be also an expense for my business. But how are you thinking about profit margins when you have an offer that scales? Because it's not just so much per item anymore, right? Am I making myself clear?
Yes, you have to really forecast long term, with the understanding that there's going to be things along the way that you're going to either you already know or you're going to uncover where people could use help. And so for you, it could be a collaboration with other people and saying, hey, we have this group and we can do that. I'm getting into a little bit off tangent there, but there's many ways that you can increase over time without it being a sales party every single time. It's really there for the benefit. And I know that that's what you're there for, but the first place I would start with is getting your pricing together, making sure that the profit's set, but pricing it to forecast it out for at least 12 months so that you're sustaining the income that you require, and that keeps you at it and keeps you enthused and keeps you away from feeling like there's not enough yet.
Right. Okay.
I would start there. So now we're at pricing. So with your pricing, this is a hypothetical. You're just starting out, but if you increase it 10% at 6,000, it's not a deal breaker. because
Right.
you're talking about value and everything else. So just increasing 10% over time takes your revenue from 36,000 to 52,000. And that's about a 50% increase in revenue, just with the 10% strategy that we've used so far. You can increase your revenue by 50% just by implementing these simple 10% increases.
Yep.
And now we take your profit margin at 10, and I just say, look, could you increase it 10% to 11? It's unnoticeable.
Right.
And so that takes your profit from 3,600 to 5,797, almost $5,800, which again is around a 60% increase, close to that. So this is
Nice.
how easy it is to increase your revenue, multiple percentages, and your profitability by this. And this is a blueprint that you can use over and over and over again when growth has to happen. So you get your first 20, and then you realize, hey, things are, now I have to hire a team and I have this, I need more revenue. Bring this back out. Use it again. You're going to see that you can increase it, and you can start charging that for every client from today forward. And within 30 days, getting all of these things in place, again, you're going to increase 50% on your revenue with this model, and about 60% your profitability on this one. It's just mind blowing, but this is exactly what a CFO would come in and do in your business or a corporation if they had to increase profit and revenue, which is what their whole sole focus is. To maintain, make sure that everything's in place financially, and that the company is continuing to grow, continuing to be profitable, so that they can continue their forecasted growth or their experimental growth. That's how corporations go, hey, we're going to try a new project. It's $30 million. And then they go 2 years later, they go, oh, it didn't work. We scrapped it, because they could already afford it and they knew it.
Right. Right.
So I'm going to stop the share for a minute. Any questions that you have, Debbie, on this?
No, that was great. I mean, are you sending us the calculator, or are you just showing it to us?
You'll have access to it, I think, for 30 days. I forget what he set up. I had my web person set it up for me. I'm pretty sure it's 30 days. So you'll have access to it. They'll be at a point in time, and I'm working on that. As you can see, I was a little bit like everything wasn't 100% organized here on this one. And it's a growth in progress, but everyone will have access to it at some point in time, and it'll be like a really nominal membership fee for it. So you can use it anytime you want. Any questions yet? Because I'm getting ready now for Adriana. Are you ready? Thank you, Debbie. If you have any questions further, if you want to look at something at the end, I'll be more than happy to take you through it again.
The only other thing that I was going to ask, if you don't mind, because there's the referral, do you have a specific way of doing referrals? And then there's affiliates, because I was actually thinking, like, even saying, oh, like if you refer someone, then I'll give you like $500 or something like that as affiliate income. That was another thing that was like floating through my mind.
Make sure that what you're charging is formulated. So there's a formulaic process, and I'll talk to you about my pricing for profit program, which was actually preceded this one. But you have to have a formulaic process for pricing, or we may be giving away too much. And a lot of businesses that don't have one, they work off a churn, meaning, oh, I have this much money in the bank, things are good. But they don't realize it's because they're churning 20, 30 clients at a time. And then when things slow down, like COVID, so many businesses went out, and I read a thing that it was about 50% of them went out of business not because they didn't have enough, but because they were relying so much on churn and paying out in the wrong places that it just caught up to them. I've had $1 million companies that I've gone through this pricing program with, and they realize that if they slow down 15, 18% for 3 months consecutively, they could implode. And these are successful, profitable businesses. When you price properly, every single sale helps cover every single cost, helps pay you, helps pay the taxes, and adds profit to the business. If you collect $1,000 and your expenses are 400, you don't make 600. You should make a certain amount of money, and then the certain amount of profit should go towards the business bank account, so that when the business needs a new program, the business needs something, the business is paying for it, not Debbie's wallet.
100%. I agree with you.
And so with affiliates, a really good idea is to have a what do you call it? A resource or a tools or whatever type of page where you have, because we always get asked, hey, what do you use for this? What are you doing for this? Or we suggest things to clients. And for the same money, if you refer them with your link, you get a commission from it. And so I encourage everybody to create a resource page on your website and saying, these are the resources I use or recommend. And then some of them could be people that you refer to, but most of them are probably going to be products or programs. But create a resource page on your website, or have it so that you can email your client list your resource page twice a year.
Okay, I'm just like I've done things like this in the past where I've like had links to Amazon, and then I never got to the $100 before they pay you out. But you're saying, like, if I take a client and I refer them to you, I said, oh, you need to work with Jacob and his Power Boost formula, etc. If I have a link on my website, which I hear, or an FAQ or something like that, like, then I'm not asking if you have this, but then you actually have like affiliate income that you pay out, or something like that, or how are you working with your clients?
It's factored in. There's a formula that I use that it also includes a referral payout, which means if I don't pay it out, my business made a little bit more money, but it's always factored in every single sale, so that when I do pay it out, it's not coming out of pocket. It's already formulated in. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, Debbie. Adriana, your turn. You ready?
Yes. Hello.
Let's do it. This is exciting, you guys. Thanks for being here. All right, so let me just blank these out.
Well, in the meantime, let me explain that I'm just starting out and the numbers are going to be quite funny. And yeah.
They're going to be even more dramatic, which is fantastic. So let's just please share real briefly what it is that you do, so people know.
So I am an English business English coach for medical professionals. Let's put it like that. So people who are non-native speakers and they are trying to, do well in their industry and just go up in the career ladder. So I'll help them with English to make it better.
Thank you for that. So in the business model you have, because right now you're also working your full-time job and you're transitioning this business to become your full-time business. How many leads are you generating in a month?
Let's put 7.
Okay, which is actually pretty impressive considering.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's not like that every month. But let's say this was last, the previous one was a bit lower, sometimes a little bit more. It just depends,
Okay.
So
is 7 a conservative number?
If you think maybe 6 is better, let's go with 6.
Well, no, it's for you. The reason that I ask is because I want your brain to accept this number and not say later, oh, that was just for that month. So I'd rather have a lower number.
Okay, let's go 6. Yeah.
Okay. So 6 leads a month. Out of 6, how many do you convert?
2.
So 2 out of 6, which would be about 33%. So that means it averages about 1.98, which is 2 clients a month, or 2 clients for every 6 leads. Is that accurate? Okay. So to get it there, I should say 33.3. There we go. Now, how many transactions do you have? And let me explain it to you because it's a little bit different than Debbie's model. I would say for me, a transaction is either going to be by the program, which is say 3-month minimum, or by the month. So if I work with someone for 6 months, that might mean 6 transactions. Or
Mhm.
if the pricing is going to be the entire program, then it's one transaction. So just understand that. So how many transactions in a lifetime with your client do you have? Or in a
Because
month?
I've been changing things. I used to have one program. Now I've got more,
Okay.
but they are slightly differently done. And I'm thinking also of membership. So if I think it might be more accurate if we say 1.5.
Okay. Very good. And your average transaction amount, what's your average sale price?
It would be 500 at the minute.
Okay. And so right now you would average 6 leads, closing a third of them, converting a third, getting 2 clients out of it, having 1.5 transactions per client, which just means every other client you have an additional transaction. At $500 would equal $1,500 in revenue, and
Mhm.
that's per month. Now, do you have a set profit margin?
No, because as I said, I'm starting, so it's kind of difficult to know all these things, and I've not experienced, it's not stable enough to know. Well, not for me anyway.
Normally, I would be conservative and say, let's start at 10, but because you're
Mhm.
starting out, I want to plant a number in your mind. So let's say 20%. Most
Okay.
corporations run between 15 and 25%, just letting you
Mhm.
know, not comparing you to a corporation. Most small business owners run 20 to around 40%. Some say they do it higher, but they're not factoring all their expenses. So out of that, everything would be covered, you would get paid, and your business would generate $300 in profit.
Mhm.
That's the model that would be a really good model for you. So if we just did a 10% increase, so instead of 6 leads per month, you got 6.6, which means every 2 months, you got an additional lead. Basically, that's what it's saying, 6.6 leads. So with just that little bit of a increase, what's one thing you could do that might increase one more conversation or one more lead that you could have?
Well, I can certainly increase the connection requests I'm sending because I'm not pushing myself too much because it seems like, because this is like my side gig. That means that time is of the essence and I'm not doing enough, but I could.
So in a given week, how many outbound or outreach messages are you sending?
In a week, I could do, I think, is it 20 a day, I think, that you are
Oh, that's a
allowed.
lot. You're working
No,
hard.
no, I'm not. I'm not sending that much. No,
Yeah.
no,
How
no, no,
many
no,
are you doing
absolutely not.
now?
So I'm doing a few a day, but it varies.
Okay.
Sometimes, let's say,
So
it'll be 2, sometimes it'll be 5, sometimes 10. So I could become a bit more regular, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, so let's just say you're going to average 5 per day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Let's let it
Mm-hmm.
be easy. Don't
Yeah.
make it too difficult, because 20 sounds great until
Mm-hmm.
you're
I know
doing
it's
20
possible, but
multiple,
this is
multiple,
not what
multiple
I'm doing.
days.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
if you
5,
just
yeah.
if yeah, if you just did that, that alone would probably get you that 0.6 within 30 days easy.
Mm-hmm.
So now if your conversion rate, you went from 33.3 to just 36.6, which just means basically about every 3 people you ask a little bit firmer and saying, hey, you're saying that you want this, but for some reason, and we connected real well and everything you're agreeing, but what's the reason you're saying no? Like even that conversation could help you convert one person a month. But you go from 2 clients to 2.42, which means about 2.5, which means every 4 conversations, you're getting an extra client than you used to. That's the value of compounding this. So your transactions, if you just increase it to 1.65, which means you recommend one of your other programs to everybody, you could easily get this number, 1.6. And then your pricing, which is something that we talked about when we met. If you really formulated your pricing, I know 550 is doable. And I know that people would not leave you for a $50 increase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you would take your revenue from 1,500 to 2,196, which again, it's about 35%, somewhere in that range, 35% increase in your revenue just with these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if your profit margin, which we're going to set at 20, if you just converted that to 22% instead, you're going from 300 to 483, which is $183 increase, which is 60% plus in your profitability. This is how easy it is, you guys, to grow your revenue and grow your profitability. It doesn't mean that you're going to 60% increase in your bank account in a month. But if you implement these things, every single sale from that point forward is increased this amount of your revenue and this amount of your profitability. This is how easy it is to grow your business and start scaling it financially so that you can afford the growth that you do. And when you combine this with pricing for profit properly, the sky's the limit. You start working with less people and you make more money and you get more time off because you can afford a team. What do you think about these numbers?
That looks pretty good. It's nice to see because, you know, when you're starting, you can't even imagine it. I'm a CEO and everything else in the company. So,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know, it's kind of like suddenly learning all, you know, all that is required is quite a lot. At the same time, trying to have the classes and at the same time, trying to create the material and do the marketing and everything else. It seems like a lot.
Yep. So that's a great incentive right there, what you just said, to focus on these so that you can increase this part and be able to afford your first assistant and be able to afford that program that might help automate or systemize it better so that it's easier and you can eliminate a few steps that you normally take. Again, increasing leads would be asking for referrals, and referrals do not have to come from people that you've done work with. They could be people that you just meet. Every single DM that I have from LinkedIn, whether we're connected, whether we can work, whether I can work with them or not, I ask for a referral. Every single annoying outreach that you get that says, hey, I can increase your leads from 5 to 500 a month, you know, whatever the number is, I send them back a reply and saying, hey, who do you know that could use this service? I never have gotten a referral from them, but if I get one, it'll be worth sending it back. So you ask for referrals is a great way to increase your lead generation and increase your conversion rate all in one, because when you can reference somebody else, it's third-party credibility, even if you don't know that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
So I just saw this thing, and I used to do this when I did real estate. I learned this was back when branch managers had clout, and there was a branch manager in each bank. So I would set an appointment up with the branch manager, knowing that he couldn't help me or she couldn't help me. And I would go in and introduce myself and said, I'm a real estate investor. Here's what I do. Here's where I'm working, which is locally to you. And I'm looking to get a loan for, you know, a signature loan or whatever it is the account set up. And they would go, oh, that's great. That's fantastic. But I can't help you. And I go, oh, who can? And they go, oh, my loan officer. Then they'd look out their door and go, oh, they're available. And they would walk me over. And when they left, I would say, thanks, Adriana. I really appreciate it. What's that impression, right? That I know that person really. So I had third-party credibility. This strategy works. When you get a referral, even if you haven't met it, and I'd say, hey, it was really nice of Adriana to refer me to you. You know, tell me more about your business. That's an implication. I'm not lying. I'm not saying anything. But I'm putting in this thing to make it easier for me to be able to find out more about them and to be able to help them. So words are powerful when we use them that way.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you.
Any questions yet? Anyone?
Well, you kind of answered. I wanted to ask about the referral, but you just said things and that answered my question.
Yeah, referrals. Ask often. If you're not asking one person a day would be my recommendation. Let's start with one person a week, because most of you aren't asking one person a year.
Mm-hmm.
So one person a week. And you just say, hey, who do you know that's experiencing this problem, if that's what you focus on the most? Or who do you know that could use this benefit, this solution, this help? And I always ask for 3. There's a law of 3, rule of 3 something, but I read it somewhere a long time ago and it's powerful. So I always ask for 3. Who are 3 people you know? Who are 3 business owners you know that you know they could be doing a lot better? You know that what they have to offer is really good, but they're just in the way of allowing enough people to see it, or they're in the way of their growth and they're not able to help as many people as they can. Who's 3 people you know that fit that? And then they'll usually at least tell me one. And I'll
That's
say,
brilliant. Yeah.
and I'll say, could I reach out to them and use your name on their behalf to help them out? I'll offer them a free strategy session, a free business audit, and see if there's anything that I can offer to help them. And I haven't had anybody to say no yet that referred somebody's name. But when I ask for 3, occasionally I get 3, which is like, yes.
Fantastic.
So ask you what we get what we ask for, or we don't get anything if we don't ask.
True.
And so, all right. So Jonayad's supposed to be here, but he's running a little bit late. So can I ask either Luana, are you up for it? Okay. Hey, everybody give her a little bit of clap. It's almost 4 a.m. in Australia, and she's up for this webinar. That is a sign of a leader right there that's willing to do whatever it takes. So I'm going to ask either Kevin or Melinda. And Melinda's my client, but I'd like to take one more person through these numbers. And I've never taken Melinda through it either. So are you up for it?
Fine.
All right. So I want everybody to meet this amazing person. She's been a client of mine for years, a lot of years. She calls me family. Like I'm on calls with her in the car with her whole family, and they're going, "Hey, Jacob, how you doing?" But she is in an industry and came up in an industry that was totally male dominated, chauvinistic, in a time when it was really difficult. Tell people what you do professionally, but then share what you're doing now with our work.
So I'm a commercial airline pilot. I don't know if this is work. I've got my iPad here. Sorry. Commercial airline pilot for United Airlines. And I've been a big proponent of additional sources of income because of the turbulent nature of the industry, even though we're on a big high right now. So I've been a big proponent of having not necessarily side gigs, but definitely passive income, side income for the pilots. Women are still a low percentage, about 6 to 7% in the industry. So a lot of my clients are male, and now I'm flying with a lot of younger pilots, like in their late 20s and early 30s. So I created a course called the Success Flight Path, which is geared to getting pilots who are normally W-2 workers to think out of the box in terms of their finances. And what I found is that I'm not a financial, I'm a financial educator, but I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I do taxes. But a lot of them are stuck in that W-2 mentality that I'm going to work for this company for the rest of my life and I'm going to have everything taken care of financially. However, trends in the employment industry, but across a number of industries, not just aviation, people don't stay with the same company. And in my case, my industry is subject to, my income is dependent on what my union negotiates for me, whether I can pass a physical exam, a simulator check, the whims of the airline. Are they going to have a heavy flying schedule this month, or it's really busy in June, July, and August, and it drops off in September and October. So my income is from the airline is nothing I can depend on, nor can I totally rely on it, even though it's right now a very good income. But at a drop of a hat, they can furlough people, or you could lose your license, or for a medical reason, or for a number of things. So I've created a program for pilots to get them out of their head about that and exploring other investment streams.
And she walks the talk. So during COVID, like one thing I learned about the industry is they can come in and demote you for the savings of the industry. So you go from this level down to this level. And that means you're also making significantly less income. But during COVID, when the shutdown, when planes weren't flying that year, with her strategies that she's implemented over now, a decade and a half at least, she was able to generate a 6-figure income just from those investments, so that furlough and that time off and that lack of pay was not impacting her lifestyle. That's what she's bringing to the table, which is huge.
So the industry that I did it was in real estate and property management, but it doesn't have to be. I've known people who did it in drone services, or had mini warehouses, or they do accounting businesses, but there has to be some kind of diversification of their investment portfolio and or their time and effort.
Yeah. And what we're doing is I'm letting her do it to pilots now, but everybody could use this. So, we're letting her do this one now, but we're going to bring it out to the masses for sure.
So Jacob, I just have to share this because you were talking about referrals, and he yelled at me because I went to get my car oil changed, and I had a young kid overhearing a conversation I was having with somebody else. And he said, well, you should have got his number and his email to follow up. And I went back and I got his email and his phone number, and he's not my target demographic now, but eventually this program will expand to either young adults or women or whatever. I don't know how it's going to explode.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
I appreciate that. You followed the direction well. And one of the things that she's also doing, and I encourage you all to consider at some point, is transitioning from social media to her email system. So even though this person isn't a client yet, he can definitely benefit from the information that she'll be sending out in her emails. And then when she does convert this program to the masses and he fits that bill, he'll already be ready to do something because he has a track record and history and knowledge of how valuable she is. That's the power of asking for referrals and taking it and figuring out, like, even if it doesn't fit yet, it may fit down the road. So let's bring them in. Yeah. So let's get you going. Thank you for sharing that too. That was powerful.
Welcome.
All right. So this is going to be an interesting one because we're talking a program, and this is forecasting out possibles, right? Because we don't know. Like with this workshop, I had a number in mind, but I wasn't sure if I was going to hit that number. So when I was factoring the numbers out, you're going to see here a little bit about how it works. So with leads, what's the anticipated amount of leads, let's say, for the program?
I have over 100 on my email list. I have over 650 in my Facebook group, and I have access to over 8,000 throughout the other just 3 groups that I actually about closer to 9,000 for the other Facebook groups, that actually just 2 groups that I have access to market to.
Okay. So if we were going to be conservative and just say, let's say 3% would convert.
Let's say the 600.
Okay.
Let's go with the 600.
Which would be phenomenal. It would be phenomenal. Out of those 600 people that have interest, how many do you think would definitely say, hey, I'm in, let's do it?
I was talking to Areen about this, and I think the numbers are something like 3%.
Okay, so that'd be about 18 people, right?
Yeah.
Oops, so let's go 3%, sorry. So that would mean 18 signups from this.
Correct.
This is a one transaction for now, or is there something else that is going to be in the pipeline?
Let's just do one transaction for now, but it's going to be a 6-week course with the monthly membership at the end.
Okay, so I'm going to put 1.5.
Okay.
Average sale is $497.
$497.
And then, so that equals a revenue of 13,419. Now, knowing me and knowing that, what did we set for a profit margin? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I think it was 20.
I have the numbers.
Let's say 20. I think
Okay.
I'm close. I think it was 20 or 25%. And so that would mean out of 600 leads, converting 3% because it's an online program, 18 clients, 1.5 transactions at $497 on an average sale. That's 13,419. So folks, just take this into consideration for a minute. The first launch program, right, to have $13,419 come from that program, very realistic. We're looking at 3% conversion, and she's already talking about thousands of people potentially because she's networked, and all of these people aren't her leads. They're people that are connected. That's why collaborations, when I talked about before, are so powerful. But $13,419 in revenue at a 20% margin means after all has been paid, after everything's been done, you have $2,683 in the bank after you've been paid, which is beautiful. So now we just increase the outreach or the messaging, right? You could just improve the messaging and get a 10% increase in leads. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Because even just the current 600, that's only my personal Facebook group that I've created. And that's like actually low. And then there's at least 2 that have a combined of over 8,000. So that would be easy to increase the reach at least by 10%.
Easy, a very easy conversion here. If you converted from 3% to 3.3%, which is like a crazy number, it would, like, out of every 100, you get, 0.3% thinking about it a little deeper. You'd go from 18 clients to 2187, which is 1.8. That's 20% about increase in your conversions. If you increase your transactions to just encourage 0.15 more people to join the next group or to join the VIP package or whatever it is that comes out about this, you'd go from, and you increase your price, which your coach has been encouraging you to anyway, from $497 to $546. You'd go from 13,419 to 19,000. That's dramatic. That's a 43% plus increase in revenue, just with this little bit of a tweak. See what I mean about the pricing when I talk to you about
Yes, I
increasing it?
do.
And that's only a 49.7% increase. So say a $50 increase. So if you went from 497 to 550, you're looking at basically a $19,600 in revenue, which is a $6,000 increase. And I know you wouldn't complain about that and that you'd put it to good use. If we take your profit margin and go from 20 to 22, which again, they're not going to notice, you go from 2683 in profit to 4,300 in your bank account after everything's been spent. That's why I talk about this so often for everybody here. This is so doable for every single person on this call. And it's not something that's you have to double your prices or double the amount of people that you talk to or double the time that you put in. This is all doable by everybody, including Adriana and Luana, who both have full-time jobs that they either like or tolerate, one of the two, but they still have to do it. You can still do a 10% increase and get these revenues, which are going to help you grow faster, get into your business faster, and let go of the day-to-day thing that you either tolerate or prefer not to, or it's okay, but if I could do my own thing, it'd be better. What's your thoughts on this one?
What's my thought?
Yeah, after
I
seeing
think I
this,
need to raise my price.
thank you. Yeah. Hold on, let me dance for that one. Yeah, it's like, and so this is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get with my web person and make sure that he creates a link so that everybody gets access to the calculator for at least a 30-day period so that you can work at it while you're working this and tweak it. My suggestion is that every single person on this call figures out at least the top 4. And let me show them to you again. Which is the amount, how you're getting leads now, how you convert it. What is it specifically that you do, or what are you saying when you talk to a lead? How do you ask them for the sale? So that's 2 things. The number of transactions that you do. Focus on what is one thing I could offer that I'm not offering regularly or not offering at all, or could offer new to the clients that I'm either working with or the clients that I'm proposing to. What's one additional thing that you could add? If you haven't raised your prices this year, raise them 10%. You're not going to notice a difference. The people that say no are going to say no because of price. They're still going to say no because of price, no matter if you raised it or lowered it. The ones that are really ready to go will pay you a higher amount. And the beautiful thing about a higher amount is that the higher they pay, as long as it's within that target market, the more they show up, the faster they get the work done. And they're a better client to work with usually than when you're first starting out at the lowest rung. These are all doable strategies that you guys can implement, and you leave with a blueprint that tells you this is exactly what I need to do. And some of these were pretty dramatic increases, like more than I anticipated. I told you conservatively 30%. Nobody's been at 30. Everybody's been at 40 plus. I said 50% on profitability. Everybody's been at closer to 60 or above. This is an amazing tool once it's figured out how easy it is to grow your revenue and your profitability. And the beautiful thing about this is 6 months from now, you implement this. It's going great. Oh, I'm growing, I'm expanding. I need to hire more help. I'm going to need more revenue to do that. You break this back out. You go through this formula again. You implement these strategies. Even if you just implemented lead conversion, didn't raise your price, but increase your profit margin, you will still come out way ahead than you would there. But I strongly encourage you to not be conservative on what you charge. And if you are, and Debbie changes who she works with, hire her. because this thing will be, it's amazing. Or call her and talk to somebody who does this work, because it's amazing what can happen when we get out of our way and when we have the tools available for ourselves to be able to take our business to another level and realize it's not as hard as we hear or we believe. I'm going to open it up. I want to make sure I'm going to have, again, a Q&A session with everybody. I want you, there's a link at the top of the chat. I don't know if you can copy it or not, but go ahead and set up a time with me within the next week if you can. I'd like to anchor in at least one of the things that you're going to be doing to give you the most benefit from this program or this workshop, so that you can leave with a strategy and then anchor it in with me as a coach to be able to utilize this. Some of you could also use help in pricing. And so I have a program that's called Pricing for Profit Formula. And what it does, I'm going to be really brief about it. It takes every single cost and expense that you incur. And then what you pay yourself. And then I show you how to have your client, each sale, pay for the taxes that you pay on your income as well. You're going to become a true CEO. And we get a set profit margin so that every single transaction generates a specific percentage of profit for your business on every single sale. And what this does is not only does it pay you what you're worth, and it shows you, here's the bottom line. This is what I need to charge. And if that charge is too exorbitant, then what it does is it also shows you the number of people that you have to work with, or maybe both, to have that sweet spot of what you feel is your best price and the number of people that you require. And if that number is too high and you're a guide, a coach, somebody who provides services, that lets you know that one-on-one isn't going to be the sole strategy that you should use. And like Debbie's transition to Mastermind, it's a form of a group program where you're leveraging your influence and you're leveraging your time as well, which is a benefit because it allows us freedom to be able to grow internally, be able to grow our business and be able to have time off and still get paid. And that's the ideal business owner / entrepreneur model. It's not, let me work as hard as I can and work more hours than I did in my W-2 or tax pay job. That's not the model. The motto is, let me build this business so that I can actually get it to a point where I can delegate some of the work out. I don't work as hard doing it. I make as much or more money than I did before. Everybody gets served very well. And we can have time to be free to create, be free to have fun, be free to live. And then build your own perfect model. You know, if you want a 4-day week, you can have it. If you want a 3-day week, you can have it. You just have to make sure that you're charging the right amount and that you're working with the right people. So that's the program that I offer. Any questions? I want to do a Q&A before I get to the closing part of it, but any questions you guys have about what we went through? Any other questions that showed up because of that, please ask. Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
First of all, I work with all small business owners, but we all have our target markets that we talk to. Just anybody can talk to me. So to clarify, but you mentioned like increasing your profit. So increasing your profit, because you've already talked about increasing prices as one piece and increasing your profit as a separate piece. So it sounds to me that's decreasing expenses, right? Like what would be included in increasing profit if it's not your prices?
Yep, you set a percentage in place. When there's a set percent, every single transaction is going to generate a percentage that whatever the amount is, say it's 20%, 20% of that expense is going to be already factored. That's profit. The other expenses, they're already factored in. When you do it formulaically, you get everything together and you know what your fixed costs, you know what your variable costs are, you know what your profit's going to be. We figure out what your pay is, and then what your tax rate is, and we figure all of that out. And then we say, look, this is exactly what you need to charge based on 12 people, based on 25 people, based on 100. The beauty of the formula, Melinda's been through it with me, is that you can see here's what I currently have to charge. Let me increase it by 3 clients and see what the difference is. And then you start seeing these dramatic changes and you go, oh, it only went from $497 to $546. And yet I added $1,000 a month assistant and I increased my pay by $3,000. Like you'll start seeing these and you realize the increases in pricing don't have to be dramatic for you to make some good, decent money and to generate a profit on every single sale.
Right. So it's kind of like the profit first formula, right? Because you're putting in profit there and then it sounds like your expenses are what's after you paid your taxes and your profits and your wages, right?
You got to pay them all. Like all of those.
But with profit first is like your expenses is what's left after you've paid your taxes, after you've paid your profits and stuff like that. Like that's what you're saying is tweaking your profit margin.
In today's example, yes. But in a pricing formula, it's all factored together at once. So all the expenses are there. All your pay is there, that we're going to know what the tax is. And then you get to pick what your profit margin is. And if people don't know, I always start them at usually 20% because that's a pretty common number that business owners charge, a 20% profit. And 20% profit is pretty good. That means off every $1,000, your company is banking 200, right? That's after expenses, but that's factored in. It's along with everything else. When we're talking about increasing revenue and profit, like in today's workshop, the blueprint, you could just focus on one or the other, and it's going to increase over time, right? So every sale from that point on, that strategy, once it's implemented, is going to increase my profitability from where it was to where it is now by this percentage.
Right.
What I'm talking about in pricing formula is a formulaic process that takes you through everything so that you can see it in your numbers, and it increases. We have a set price, and that, you know, bottom line, this is what I have to charge. And then as a bonus, what I do when I work with people one-on-one is I take them through forecasting, and I'll say, look, 6 months from now, let's say you've grown, you need an assistant, let's add their price in. Let's say you go from 10,000 a month, you want to make 12.5. Let's add that in. Oh, that raised your taxes. That's added in. Here's what you have to charge. And usually we realize that it's not as dramatic as we believe that it would have to be. I just had somebody who went from 4,000 a month, which I think is crazy, insane, ridiculously low, to 8,000 a month. And she was freaking out. Because, oh my God, that's so much money. But her increase in pricing was $268 for a program. That's it. And she realized, man, I'm way undercharging already, and I just have to increase it this much to get this much more. And she sent me back a text 2 days later. She sold her first program at that higher price. So it's doable when you have a formula, and, you know, it also gives you the confidence to be able to ask, because it's really easy for me to say, I can't go below this number. Like I used to discount as I felt, right? When I priced, oh, this person, I really want to help them. They can't afford, let me charge them this amount. And then when I did the formula and I realized, man, I'm losing money. I can't do this. So it says, hey, I'd love to help you, but we have to be at this number. Right. That's the beauty of the formula for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
so
for
much.
asking. That was a good question.
You're welcome.
Any
And I
other
think that
questions?
Melinda's price should be $747. I think that makes the most sense.
Amen. Yeah.
Thanks, Debbie.
Right.
It just fits with your target audience. Like, why not?
I guess it would be 737 to be technical.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Also works.
I like it. Or the Airbus 850. Let's do that. Yeah.
Now that's only 380. That's as high as it goes. Forget it.
Yeah, well, there's a new one in the works. And so just ask my coach. Any questions yet? Okay, let me go back to my slide present here and finish it out. Let's see. Good questions though, you guys. Thank you. Share my screen. Okay, so got the questions. Is everybody okay if I share this portions of this in a video? If anybody isn't, because I can't see you right now, just unmute and let me know, and I'll honor it. Okay, thank you. So the next steps. So some of you will take this and run. That's a given. I congratulate you for that. I'm honored that you came to my workshop today for that. There's also probably a third of the people here that see the value, know it, understand it, but knowing yourself well enough, know that somewhere along the line you'll get busy again and probably won't do the work. Or there's some that know you just work better with other people guiding it. That's who I'm talking to for this part. But what I'm going to offer is 30 days of coaching on these 5 areas. And not only will I guarantee that this growth prospect will happen, but if not, I'll refund 100% of your investment and the cost of this workshop, and coach you for free an additional 30 days with the promise that if you don't have that at the end of 30 days in place and active, I will continue to coach you for free until you do. Now, it's easy to offer this when you know that it works, and you know that if the person shows up and just does the work, because it's not that difficult to begin with, that it's going to happen. So it's easy to put up a guarantee like that. If you have something like that in your business, I strongly encourage you to use it, because this is a powerful guarantee. But I'm confident that there's a 99% chance I'm not going to have to honor it. So it's easy to offer it. I'm just being honest. I'll also help you create a new program or offering, if you don't have one, in place for upsales, so that you can increase the lifetime value of a client. And I'll gift you one session of coaching on your brand, which includes the same worksheets that I have in my brand impact formula, which retails for $4.97 on my website. The brand impact formula is something that I devised because I heard everybody talking about brand, and brand, you got to have a tagline, your logo has to look good. And that's the least part of brand. Brand is, what do people think, feel, and say about your company when they hear it, see it, or see you. That's what brand's about. And so I took it another step. What if you had the brand impact and you put that onto your employees, and your employees feel, think, and say what you want your clients to feel, think, and say? You have loyalty, you have integrity, you have productivity. And that's the perfect recipe for a small business owner or any company, but especially for a small business owner, to be able to go to that next level of growth and have a team in place that you can go away for a week and know everything's being taken care of, and not have to be looking at your messages, phone, or hopping on a call. That's my commitment to you for taking action, but that's also my commitment to me in keeping my integrity and my level high to offer you what I know I'm the best at. And so I'm going to leave it at that. If anybody's interested, oops, let me go here again. If anybody's interested in the program, I'm going to do it for $597 for 30 days, which is a crazy number, but it's my bottom line number, right? There's my program right now is at $997, and that's without my coaching. And so that's my commitment to people here, because I know that there's my conversion rate usually is going to be a couple people here that'll join me on it. So any questions at all on anything that we've covered, anything at all that I can help you with? If you have one thing that you'd like an answer to, let me know, and maybe we can table that for the event. But I kept my time, which I'm really, you know, my ego's proud of me right now. So just got to shout that out. And so, but I want to, everybody, I thank you so much. Do you have any questions before I close it out? No?
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the confidence, the trust, the belief. I hope that you got as much out of this as I intended you to. Set up your call with me. Again, it's at the top of the chat. Let's have one more chat. I want to anchor in the learning from it. If anybody's interested in the program, send me a direct message on LinkedIn or send me an email. You have my email address. I will send everybody the recording here within about 90 minutes from now. And I just wish you all the best. I thank you so much for being here, for taking your time. Luana, a little extra special because it's, you know, 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thanks. We'll talk soon.